Hello friends, today we're talking about how we would write the switch cases in Java, what is the main purpose of it, and how can this simplify the process of having multiple conditional statements. So let me go ahead and start a new class. New class. I'm going to name this as a switches demo. So let me just go ahead and create the main method here. And I'm going to write a method called switches for numbers. Okay, and let me create a method here outside of the main body. So first of all, switches will always work with the variables. So I need to initialize some variable. So let's say int my num equals, let's say 15. Okay, so now what happens is, usually when you want to get this conditions, you can have multiple conditions for using if else blocks. But here what we want to do is, we don't want to do writing multiple things. We may have not only 2 or 3 conditions where we probably use the if conditions, but we may have certain situations where we may require to have like 10, 15 or more statements, and in that case your conditions become so vague and it's very hard to read. So switches is going to simplify those type of process for you. So let me start that up. So very first thing you need to understand is how the switch works. Switch works with writing switch, and within this parenthesis you give that variable with what you want to switch with, and then switch block contains the cases block. Okay, so which would be case number. Now you need to keep the number now you need to pass the number as what if the number is this, what if the number is that, right? So what if the number is 15 and you just passed, so you give here, you need to get colon, and then what do you want to do with that? So you want to just print out it is 15, right? Copy that out, and it's a best practice to put a break statements for switches. Then now what you want to do is, you want to give case for, say, what if it is 10, right? So give another statements, then you give case 50, then break. You can add this as much as you want. Case 1, right? Case 0. And what if it's, none of these things matches? So just like you have if else, the else block part, we have a default part in the switch cases. For default you give nothing, so all you do is just that's all. And let me format this guy out. So this is how it works. So let's change these values here so we understand where it's coming from. Okay, so this is nothing. None of those. Okay, so here if you want to run this, which is already called, so let's just run this out. Okay, it should print it is 15. Okay, because it's 15 and we are initializing this as a 15, but we want rest of the things to work when it causes, right? So we don't want to come back to method and change these values all the time. We want to give this method when we want to run it. So what I want to do is give this here. Maybe this time I want to give this 10, and I want to parameterize this guy. Okay, so what happens is now you can give any values you want, and that it is going to work the way it should. So it's taking value from here and it is printing me this guy. Now you can simply change this value down to 100, and it should say not at all, none of the above. So this is how this if will work. And if this was the if else condition, you would write if block here and then else if here. But problem is the clarity and code is more simplified with the switch cases and more readable, right? So that's how we write the switch cases. And I'm going to add the same thing with for the switch cases if it was the numbers string type instead of numbers. Let me just copy this guy out. So what happens if you want to do the same thing? This was the number, so if you want to do the same thing for string types, what do? So instead of this, I'm going to give this guy my string. Okay, so I need to parameterize this guy here. Now this whole value will be the string type, so you have to pass this as let's say okay, 15. This is a string. And then none of the above remains the same. So this is 0, right? Okay, so what happens here if you want to call this guy out? What you have to do, nope, not this guy. Switches for not numbers but string. Yeah. So what do you want to do here? Let's say I want to do 15. Let me run this. First one that ran is showing me none of the above, and second one is showing me 15. So what it is doing, it is showing me this 15. It compares this guy to this guy. And sometimes let me just further elaborate this. Sometimes what happens is you may be passing this with the different cases, and as you know, Java is case sensitive. Just the way it works in the if else, what you would do when you run this, now it's going to go through the else block, which means the default block, right? So here, if you have passed the 15, right, but was the different cases, because what you're comparing is with everything lower cases. So there are a couple things you can do in order to avoid these type of situations, and when you don't have more priority over the case, like a case what cases it is on. So to do that, you can do, let's say you want to do lowercase, right? Now whatever format you provide, it is going to first turn into the lowercase, then it gets into the cases, and this time it's going to print the 15 for you, right? So you give the different format. Now it doesn't matter where you put this, it would still give you that, because it formats for you. And same thing with lowercase, you can also give to uppercase, and this time you want to pass this as uppercase, right? And this 10 would be 10, right? 1, 0. So now let's say I want to give 1, or I can give this a small letter too. It doesn't really matter because it's gonna change it to the uppercase anyway. Okay, so this is how the switch cases works, and that's how it varies. If you watched my previous video, I have the same thing I have explained with when you use the if else conditions, and you can find the difference, you know, how simplified this is as opposed to if else conditions. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video, and please continue to watch my videos and subscribe my channel. Thank you very much.